and therefore the debate will be smooth. Honorable Ngeno, it's unnecessary that you should lose minutes just because of members are raising. So please, I want you to stick to the budget. Forget about these other things. There are issues that are not easily provable here. And if you have some real serious facts, you can table that with the normal processes of giving good notice. So let's just go to budget. You've had your time. Now proceed. I'm sure you've made your statement that if you are speaking to the gallery, they have Speaker, now let's speak to the estimates.
Mr. Speaker, I was interrupted. It's not in my preserve to actually talk about other people. It was the members who interrupted me. And for clarity purpose, Mr. Speaker, I would just want to say I meant political, to fall in a political laugh. I didn't mean the other things. Mr. Speaker, I would also wish to state it here that I never meant the people who made this budget, the members of that committee who made this budget, made a mistake. I was making reference to the government of Kenya, not you as a member of parliament. I said this is the last budget we are making for the government called Jubilee government, Jubilee administration, which is leaving power in the next 1.5 months. A government that has robbed this country. A government that has fleeced the citizens of this country. And if you are not aware and you have been making this budget, we are paying money in debts unlike any other country in this world. Mr. Speaker, we are paying billions and trillions of money in form of debts. What? Mr. Speaker, and these are money which are borrowed by the Jubilee government.
Nyasuna, what's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I would not wish to be interrupted because I will not be regaining my minutes by members.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Is this member in order? Is this member in order? Is the member for Imuru Dikir in order to call this government or to accuse this government of robbing Kenyans, yet his very own party leader is the biggest robber within that government? If we are to look for the robber in the government, it's Deputy President William Ruto. So he should speak about the real robber, who is the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, because of Aror, because of Kimwarer. That is the robbery that we must...
Order, members. Now, even just to, it's very important. It's very important for members to know, so that we really don't, let's not digress. And by the way, I actually thought, when I last checked, I thought the honorable member for Medwar Digir has a party leader called Gideon Moi, not, this is a member on Kano ticket. But honorable members, I am tempted to give opportunity to the Honorable Jimmy Angwenyi by virtue of seniority, and let me give him. No.
Okay, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, what is it, Honorable Jimmy Angwenyi?
The Honorable Tambatamba, huyu wa Tambatamba maparties. Naitwa Johanna Ngeno Tambatamba, because he has moved from Jubilee to Kanu, from Kanu to UDA. Now you have moved out of UDA because you are criticizing the government which is owned by the leader of UDA. Mr. Speaker, I request the member of parliament to withdraw calling our government a government of robbers, and we are not robbers.
We proceed now, honorable members. I think on a serious
note,
on a very serious note, the issue budget is an extremely, what is it, Honorable Angwe? Then you see, there are things that we.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's important that members be made aware that the House is still a full House until when it will be adjourned Sinadai. And Honorable Speaker, I wish to refer you to Standing Order number 91, where, for avoidance of doubt, I wish to read for the member, that a member shall be responsible for the accuracy of the facts which the member alleges to be true and may be required substantiate any such facts instantly. I therefore wish to put this to the honorable member of Emuru Dikir. That honorable speaker, he does substantiate who is corrupting the government, who is this person that is corrupting the government, what is this he's calling a corrupt government, honorable speaker. And honorable speaker, I would also wish to ask that he also clarifies whether corruption can also extend to a member, maybe, who has been robbed of his nomination in that particular party. Thank you, honorable speaker.
Now, first of all, honorable Ngeno, you have 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes to contribute. You have 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes. You had contributed for 2 minutes. I have managed to save some minutes that
I haven't contributed 2 minutes.
No, you have.
These people have robbed me.
So this honorable Ngeno, I think what we need to do, you have the floor. This is an extremely serious matter, honorable members.
It is.
This is an extremely serious matter. It is good for members to contribute. Just contribute to this. Those other issues, we can do it in other forums. We have many other forums. Let's proceed.
Bwana Speaker, wacha hata niende kwa Kiswahili.
No, you can't change halfway. Can't change halfway.
Because you know, Speaker, it is not. You know when I say, Mr. Speaker, that this government has robbed the people of Kenya. I mean the people, including the people I represent in this house, Mr. Speaker. I'm not referring to any member here. If you cannot see that the government has robbed you, keep quiet. I'm talking on behalf of the people of Emuru who have been robbed billions of money. And you cannot censor me, you cannot just be telling me.
No.
So, it's my time to speak. Mr. Speaker.
If you don't, I want you to stick to this. Let's not make, this is, Honorable Ngeno. Honorable Ngeno. I think, I am not going to allow you to proceed in that manner. I will not. So if you, what is your point of order, Honorable Onyonka? No, Honorable Ngeno, I think you must be respectful. You must contribute. No. There are many allegations. What is your point of order, Honorable Onyonka? Honorable Onyonka.
Thank you. Honorable Ngeno, Mr. Speaker, the point of order is that I would like Honorable House for quite a while. If you look at the gallery, you'll see young people sitting and looking at us and listening to us. The reason why our country is the way it is the way we are behaving in this house. We want to interrogate. I have no problem with you bringing out issues about what you feel is a problem. But for you to turn around, first of all, I am not a member of Jubilee, and I'm not here to defend Jubilee. But for you to turn around and every speech you're making is about when President Uhuru met his friend, Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. And that is when, wait, Honorable Ngeno, and according to you, that is when everything went berserk. Mr. Speaker, I would like Honorable Ngeno to listen to me, and I want to tell you, sir, when Raila was the Prime Minister and there was a coalition government in this country, our debt was only 900 billion. When the Jubilee government and your party leader, Honorable William Ruto, came into power with President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, our debt is now 11 trillion. The issues is about 9 trillion. The issues you need to deal with is what to do to solve the issues so that this debt does not spiral. The issues we are dealing with are about governance issues. If you have any outstanding issues as to who you think has stolen in this country, you are free to go to court. You can table it out here in Parliament as a substantive motion so that we can discuss it. Thank you.
Now, I think from a senior member, Honorable Ngeno, please, and just go to the budget. We don't need to have any sensational issues. If you have anything, just table it. And don't bother, threatening and saying, you are partisan or not partisan. I've gone through that many times. So please, let's just stick to that. I gave you an opportunity to speak. Please speak. Now, anything else, whether the issue of my partnership or otherwise is really not so much of a business. So I want you to just proceed with your contribution. And let me tell you, it won't help too much. Yeah. So please.
Speaker.
No, if you are not going to contribute, you really don't want
I am making my contribution.
Just contribute.
Speaker, and please,
just contribute.
Please
just contribute.
allow me to make my
just
contribution.
Contribute.
And please also warn members not to interrupt me.
Please.
Warn members not to interrupt me when I'm making my contribution. Mr. Speaker, I was making my contribution, and this is my contribution based on my position as a member of parliament who is meant to do oversight on government, not on members of parliament, on government. So when I make my contribution basing on that fact, that constitutional provision, that my main work here in this house is to do oversight, no one should censor me, Mr. Speaker. So when I say, Mr. Speaker, that we are doing a budget, the last budget, for a government that is ending its regime in the next 1.5 months, what I mean, Mr. Speaker, is that I have my own oversight role as a member of parliament to state what has happened in the previous 5 years. And no one can deny me that. When I say the government has done this, no one should deny me to say that. When I say the government has fleeced its citizens through borrowing, no one should censor me on that because I have the facts. When I say the cost of living in this country, Mr. Speaker, it has hit the highest. Mr. Speaker, no one should tell me I should not say that because they belong to the government. When I say, Mr. Speaker, when I talk about these facts, Mr. Speaker, no one should stop me from talking about those facts. Mr. Speaker, I'm a member of parliament like any other member in this house. I represent constituents who pay taxes like everyone else in this house, Mr. Speaker. And no one has more right than the other. Mr. Speaker, my point to finish, because I want to finish, because I know most members are not happy with my contribution, and I don't care. Mr. Speaker, I'm only urging the budget members. Please, Mr. Speaker, we had made a resolution in this house that we wanted the budget to be added for CDF from 2.5% to 5%, because CDF has done to every member and every member of the society a great work. Members of this budget committee reduced that budget from 5% to 2.5% again. Mr. Speaker, I don't know why, but we'll still look at it in the next budget. Mr. Speaker, but my main worry is the question of equalization fund. You know, equalization fund, Mr. Speaker, is a fund which was created as a third budgetary allocation in this country. We have the national budget allocation, we have the county budget allocation, and we have the equalization fund. But for many years, Mr. Speaker, we have only spent 1 year's allocation of equalization fund since the creation of that kitty, Mr. Speaker. Up to now, we have never spent even a single coin. And that allocation, Mr. Speaker, was meant for those areas which have been, for a long time, been marginalized by various governments of this country, Mr. Speaker. I'm shocked, even up to date. And we are being told, like when I talk to the chairman is telling me it has been because of regulations. Why is it hard to do regulations for a kitty that we know is going to assist the marginalized areas, marginalized communities, marginalized people of this republic? Mr. Speaker, I wish this House do regulations as fast as possible so that those marginalized areas can also benefit like other Kenyans. The marginalized areas includes my constituency, includes Turkana, includes the whole of Kajiado, includes of Narok, and even Kieni, where the chairman comes from. There are some arid areas in those particular areas who have been marginalized for many years. And when I ask that question, no one should tell me I should not ask. I have every right, Mr. Speaker. I'm an elected member like you, like anybody else here. So I have the right to ask whatever I want to ask of a government that we elected and put in place. And Mr. Speaker, by the way,
So we go to the next member, Honorable Mwashako. Honorable Mwashako.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa nafasi hii ya kuchangia mswada ambao uko mbele yetu kuhusu makadirio ya bajeti ya mwaka 22-23. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwanza Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka kwanza kupongeza kamati ya budget ambayo imeketi kwa wakati mgumu ambao kila mjumbe anatazamia kurudi mashinani kutafuta kura, lakini kamati hii ikaacha hayo yote, ikasema itarudi ikakaa ili kujaribu kuona kwamba nchi yetu haitakupatikana katika ugumu wa kikatiba wakati kwamba bajeti hii haitakuwa imepitishwa kwa wakati unaofaa. Mheshimiwa Spika, jambo ambalo linanitia moyo sana kwa bajeti hii ya mwaka huu Mheshimiwa Spika ni kuwa angalau kwa mara ya kwanza bajeti hii imeangazia masuala nyeti sana ambayo yanakumba mwananchi wa kawaida. Mheshimiwa Spika, unajua mbeleni Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiwa shule na hata tukiwa vyuo ilikuwa kwamba tunafuatilia sana masuala ya bajeti, kwa sababu kila mara bajeti inakaposomwa katika bunge la kitaifa ilikuwa tunajua kwamba inapunguza ushuru kwa mambo kwa vyakula ambavyo vinatumika na Wakenya. Tulikuwa tunajua kwamba masuala ya maendeleo yanaangaziwa kwa kina sana, na pia tulikuwa tunajua kwamba katika kila bajeti kila sehemu ya nchi ingekuwa basi imekumbukwa kwa mgao ambao ungeweza kuinua maisha ya mwananchi wa kawaida. Mheshimiwa Spika, miaka hizi za sasa ambazo bajeti inatengezwa katika wakati mgumu sana, tunajua kwamba bei ya vyakula vimeenda juu sana. Kumekuwa na unaitwa mfumuko wa bei, kizungu anaita inflation. Tumekuwa na changamoto ya mafuta ambayo sana sana yanaongeza bei ya gharama ya maisha. Tumekuwa na kipindi kigumu cha njaa Mheshimiwa Spika, ambapo hali ya anga imekuwa ya kutatanisha sana. Kila mara tunapoandika bajeti Mheshimiwa Spika, hakukosi sentensi ya kusema kwamba ukuaji wa uchumi ama ile inaitwa growth ya GDP inategemea sana hali ya hewa vile itakavyokuwa. Mara nyingine mpaka naona kama tunasahau tu kutaja kwamba tunategemea Mungu sana ili kufikia malengo ambayo tumeweka katika bajeti zetu za kila mwaka. Maana kama tunataja hali ya hewa Mheshimiwa Spika, basi ni vyema wakati tunapitisha bajeti pia tunakuwa na kipindi kama bunge la kitaifa la kuombea hali ya hewa Mheshimiwa Spika. Manake sasa tunasema kwamba kama hali ya hewa haitabadilika, ni vizuri niseme kwamba kwa miaka mitatu sasa tumekuwa na upungufu wa mvua Mheshimiwa Spika, na maeneo mengi Kenya yetu inategemea kilimo. Bajeti hii haitafikiwa kama masuala ya mvua ama masuala ya kutegemea mvua hali ya hewa haitakuwa nzuri Mheshimiwa Spika. So la muhimu ni kusema kwamba hadi lini tutaendelea kukadiria hali ya hewa ikiwa kama kigezo kikubwa katika bajeti zetu za nchi Mheshimiwa Spika. Lakini hata nikiacha hayo Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi natamani kwamba baada ya uchaguzi, na ni jambo ambalo lazima kama Wakenya tuwe makini sana, tunasema kwamba uchumi wa Kenya utakana ukue kwa 6% mwaka huu na katika miaka inayokuja ya hivi karibuni 6.1%. Lakini tunajua kila mara tunapoenda kwa uchaguzi Mheshimiwa Spika kunakuwa na taharuki. Sasa ni vizuri kama sisi kama viongozi na wale ambao sana sana tunapigania nyadhifa mbalimbali nchini, tuhakikishie Wakenya kwamba matokeo yatakayotokana na uchaguzi basi yataheshimika Mheshimiwa Spika. Sasa hii ukisikia viongozi wanavyoongea, wengi wanapiga kifua wakisema kwamba wako na kizungu wanasema numbers, wako na uhakika kwamba watachukua serikali. Wameenda kiwango vya kuwa wameweza kuahidi mambo mengi ambayo tunajua mara nyingi ni story tu. Sasa tunasema kwamba uchaguzi utakapokuja tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8, wacha Kenya iwe tu ni sehemu tu ya kizungu anasema let it be just a day's activity. Majibu yatoke, yule ambaye atatangazwa mshindi aanze kutekeleza bajeti hii, yule ambaye atakuwa ameshindwa basi arudi nyumbani. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, ninasisitiza sana kwamba hata IEBC yatakana ipeane kizungu nasema commitment kwamba watafanya uchaguzi wa haki wa uhuru ili kila Mkenya anapoenda kupiga kura anajua kura yake itahesabika. Mheshimiwa Spika, ili masuala ya bajeti haya tujue kwamba bajeti hii itatimizwa, Wakenya watapata afueni na bei ya mfumuko wa vyakula na maisha ya Wakenya na maendeleo ya nchi yatasonga mbele. Mheshimiwa Spika, kumalizia Mheshimiwa Spika ni kusema kwamba nimeona kwamba bajeti hii imeangazia sana miundo misingi ya nchi na ni vyema basi vile vilivyoangaziwa tusije tukawa na supplementary budget mengi kuelekea.
Asante, thank you very much. Now, before I give the next member, let me recognize in the public gallery students from Koru Girls High School of Muhoroni Sub-County, Kisumu County, right? Muhoroni Sub-County. That is Koru Girls High School, isn't it? So they are here to follow proceedings and learn from works of the National Assembly at this very serious time of debating budget. What is it, Honorable Wanga? What is it?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I just wanted to welcome girls from Koru Girls to the National Assembly.
I thought I did, but...
I wanted to add, because, you know, Koru Girls, Honorable Speaker, is my home. In Kisumu County is my home county. Moroni constituency is my home constituency. So I wanted to welcome them and say that if you work hard, if you remain disciplined, if you remain focused, then you will no longer sit up there. You will have an opportunity to sit down here. The sky is the lower limit. Please.
I think that is a very good encouragement to the girls. I had already welcomed, of course, to the National Assembly, but it's good that you gave an added flavor to it. Now, what is it, Honorable Millie Odhiambo? It's not about Honorable, okay, what is it?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm not from Koru, neither am I from Kisumu County. But I just want to warn the honorable member who is saying that Honorable Gladys Wanga is from Homa Bay, not from Kisumu, that as women, we come from many places. Gladys is, yeah, we are citizens of a globe. She's from, she was born in Koru, married in Homa Bay, just like I'm also married in Zimbabwe. So, Mr. Speaker, those are not issues. Those are issues we determine when we are dealing with love, not governance issues.
Okay.
But I wanted to just indicate, Mr. Speaker, that we just want to encourage the girls from Koru. I just wanted to notify them that we are here. Many, Mr. Speaker, you don't know what it means for young girls to come to National Assembly and see women who probably have the same background as them. We have Honorable Professor Jacqueline Odwal. I'm not seeing the others, Honorable Eve Obara. We have Honorable Florence Mutua, and many. Now, yes.
Now.
The Honorable Jerusha. From Turkana. There are women here, Mr. Speaker, just indulge me a little bit. We get excited when we see young women in the house. But we have women, and if the women in this house could have reached here, coming from those backgrounds, we want to tell them that, as Gladys says, the sky is the lower limit. They can be whatever they want to be. Doctors, engineers, lawyers, whatever. So welcome, girls.
Thank you. Well, I had to be a bit magnanimous because I realized there was a lot of passion with the presence of the girls from Koru Girls. I just wanted first for you to maintain it at girls, not young women. They are girls. And secondly, I didn't want us to do any other thing. Forget about where you are married and where you are not married, because for us and for them at this point in time is how to make good grades in Form 4. The rest, we can leave it for future times. Now, let's give the Vice Chair Budget an opportunity to also give his contribution to this. Yes, the Vice Chair Budget, that is 58 there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I first of all want to thank the chair, Honorable Kanini Keka, for having led the committee well and having given a very good presentation here. Mr. Speaker, I also want to thank the Budget Committee and the chairs of departmental committees who have had time during this electioneering time. We know very well we have had nominations and members are busy out there trying to survive, to look for survival because they have to come back to this house, but they have put in their time, Mr. Speaker, and we have been able to go through the budget, and here we have presented it. Members of the Budget Committee have burned midnight oil, most of them shuttling between the committee and their constituencies, and we've managed to be where we are and presented a good report, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, the chairman has presented so well the estimates. I do not need to go through again to distort, and of course it's normally good practice, you don't speak much after your boss. I wish to mention maybe a few areas, one or two areas, Mr. Speaker. The first one, Mr. Speaker, I would want to comment on the issue of pending bills, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is time that the executive takes serious note on settling pending bills, Mr. Speaker. We have imminent problems, Mr. Speaker, in the near future if pending bills are not paid. Of course, we know very well from where we sit, we interact with the small contractors, Mr. Speaker, who have supplied the government and they are about to be auctioned. Some have already been auctioned, they have gone under. Some have even committed suicide, Mr. Speaker. We want the issue of pending bills be taken seriously. Now that elections are around the corner, Mr. Speaker, on 9th of August this year, we've had ICT providers to IBC, Mr. Speaker, threatening not to deliver services because of pending bills, which are the IBC has not been able to pay. Mr. Speaker, we want the issue of pending bills be ring-fenced so that pending bills are paid. Mr. Speaker, we have seen even the institutions, labor movements come to us, Mr. Speaker, asking for money which has been agreed upon through CPA with the government, and the money has been pending, Mr. Speaker. There could be looming strikes, Mr. Speaker, if we don't consider settling these bills, Mr. Speaker, that are pending, and they keep on appearing before us, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the second issue which I want to speak to is the issue of sports fund, Mr. Speaker. Sports fund came in with as a very good idea, Mr. Speaker. But how the money is distributed and spent, Mr. Speaker, remains as something that is unexplainable. We wish to see that money before it's spent is presented, Mr. Speaker, to the relevant committee or Parliament, Mr. Speaker, to approve, so that we can realize, Mr. Speaker, that whatever the fund was supposed to do is realized, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, another issue is to speak about the youth, Mr. Speaker. The budget as it is does not speak to how we talk out here, or the executive speaks about the youth, Mr. Speaker. The youth fund, Mr. Speaker, is underfunded, yet we want youth to take money and do business. Uwezo fund is underfunded, Mr. Speaker. We want to see the budget, given appropriate budget, Mr. Speaker, to be able to support the youth in our country who hold the most popular population of this country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want lastly to speak about education, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we know there are bursaries which are being given to the Member of Parliament. through CDF and MCAs and county government, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, developed countries do not give bursaries. They have universal education. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Vice Chair, your space is gone. It's gone, I'm afraid. Honorable Wanyonyi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to make some comments on this presentation that was done very well by my chairman, Kanini Kega. First and foremost, Mr. Speaker, and I think the vice chairman of this committee was talking about pending bills, settling of the pending bills. It's an issue, Mr. Speaker, that as an oversight, this parliament has a role to play. We have cases where there are pending bills and those that have not been settled. And you know, pending bills is actually economic growth of our economy. Some of these issues must be settled. I know, for example, there were Chinese who are actually constructing a road in my area, and they stopped all of a sudden. I went asking the area representative and told me, you have not been paid for almost 6 months. So everything came to a standstill. So, Mr. Speaker, we have to do something about the pending bills. Let's take it very, very seriously so that issues of suppliers and what have you, and even contractors are actually here too. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I want to talk about the weather, unpredictable weather. Again, it's not very clear in this presentation about the weather. We have unpredictable weather, and we don't even know what's happening. The rains are not coming the time that farmers expect them to come. And so we find ourselves, and I come from the North Rift, we are having ourselves actually now, at this time we're supposed to be weeding. Some of the farmers have not even planted, or they're planting now, and they're not sure of what is happening. And therefore, we should be able to come up very clear as an oversight on this weather, because we have that problem, and I think we should have a factor, insurance, so that the farmer is assured of what to do, what will happen if he fails to get the yield as he's supposed to get, because it's all about inputs. And so therefore, Mr. Speaker, again, this should have come up in this presentation, that we have this insurance factor, particularly in livestock and even agricultural, other inputs, whatever they are, so that we have at least a stopgap to be able to take care of areas where farmers have put in so much and expecting to yield, and there's nothing. So we have to have insurance to cover this area. This, again, is not clear in this particular presentation. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about, Mr. Speaker, is the Russia-Ukraine conflict. It's affecting this country very badly because, as mentioned, lightly mentioned, again, Russia supplies with wheat and even steel materials and other materials that we use here. And because of this conflict, again, we have that problem. It does not come out very clearly what do we do next. Russia and Ukraine, war is going on, and we don't know when it will ever end. I don't even know the cause of it, but that is not for us to, but what are we doing as a country so that we can protect ourselves in whatever is happening there? Because, of course, they are the major importers of tea and other commodities from this country. Nothing has, again, been mentioned here. So, Mr. Speaker, again, I want this committee to come up, and if it means getting some of us to be able to have the inputs, we are ready to do that. Otherwise, this 370 billion shillings that the committee has put on the county, but this money is being misused in the county. It's not being accounted for. Not only in my own county, but I see so many other counties We give them money and we find that they are not using the money supposed to be used properly. Again, let's look at that one, misuse of money by the county government, and we have given them 370 billion shillings, and they can't even account for it. I come from a county where nothing has happened the last 5 years.
Yes, members, just remember that you have 5 minutes, except for any chair who has 10 minutes. Honorable Koske Kimutai.
Honorable Speaker, this being the last budget of this term, 2022-2023 budget. Speaker, if you look at the budgets that have come to this House for the previous years, this seems to be the highest ever in this country. There are a lot of indicators that shows that the country is not doing well in terms of GDP. Speaker, I've gone through the budget keenly, and the biggest budget allocations goes to things that are not going to create development in this country. Huge cost is going for debts, both locally and international debts. Honorable Speaker, as a member of parliament from Chebalungu constituency, I'm worried when I don't see anything that is coming to my constituency under this huge budget. And I have mixed reactions, whether I should support or reject. I wish going forward, if possible, Honorable Speaker, that every sector of our economy, especially things that can improve the social economy of our people that represent, like roads, water, electricity. Those are key things that are very critical to the people that we represent, Honorable Speaker. I wish that all members or all constituencies in Kenya are given their fair share, because all of us, we come from different constituencies where we are expected to deliver on services that improves the livelihoods of our people. If it's about tarmac roads, if the government has projected to do like 10,000 kilometers in this financial year, we have to distribute accordingly so that we all share the government cake, so that all of us feel like Kenyans. Some constituencies in this country, Honorable Speaker, I've only seen like 5 kilometers of tarmac road, while others, they have already cleared all the roads. They are on feeder roads now. Like Chebalungu constituency, we struggle when we get the Kera allocation money, because all the roads are like in bad shape. Honorable Speaker, I sometimes feel chillers about my good neighbor, Emurwa Dikir, because in his constituency he has done a good work. And I congratulate the people of Emurwa Dikir by voting and bringing him back. Honorable Speaker, agriculture is key. And the budget committee, they need to also allocate funds to agriculture. Because this government, we can only make sense by putting and injecting more money to agriculture. It's a key pillar of our economy, Honorable Speaker. On education, as much as we talk of education being a basic thing that requires all Kenyans to embrace, when we say we have free primary and secondary education, that's a lie. That's a lie. Our people are struggling every single day to get fees to school their kids. We need to improve and give more money to education sector. Honorable Speaker, I would like to say that shared prosperity for all Kenyans is critical. Let us all share the government cake, because we all contribute towards by paying taxes from every sector. All Kenyans, they are paying taxes. Let's also reciprocate the same by giving them work that is meaningful, and that will be very important, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Let's have now Honorable Bokero, member for Nyando.
Honorable Speaker, I thank you very much. And again, allow me to join my sister, Honorable Wanga, Honorable Mili, and all the indomitable women in this house to welcome Koru Girls Secondary School that is in this house today. Koru Girls is in Muhoroni constituency, and Nyando is the immediate neighbor to the southern part of Koru. And Honorable Speaker, up to until 1988, Muhoroni wasn't a constituency. It was part of the greater Nyando constituency together with Nyakach. And therefore, both Nyakach and Muhoroni are annexures of Nyando constituency. So I represent these girls, and I welcome them into the August House. In a few years to come, I don't know, probably some of them will be joining us here. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the committee for coming up with this budget. This is a budget that is peculiar, done at a time when we are staring at our impending elections in August. And they had to reorient so many things in order to come up with this budget. And therefore, we thank them very much, Honorable Speaker. Again, Honorable Speaker, the debt portfolio that we have spoken about since time immemorial, it is high time that we retired this debts so that as a country, we can be self-reliant. There are fears that we may be going over and above the ceiling, as is espoused in Section 50, subsection 2 of the Public Finance Management Act. And we only hope that the next government that will be coming in, headed by none other than Raila Amolo Odinga, will quickly address these issues of debt, just like they did together with the former President Kibaki, so that as a country, we can be proud of doing things our own way. Honorable Speaker, we have been told about the pending bills. And these pending bills do not only touch government to government. It is also about government to individual suppliers. And these individual suppliers have bills to pay, they have food to buy, they have school fees to pay, and they have other commitments to respond to. But here is a situation where the government holds their money for way too long. Therefore, we must address this issue of pending bills locally so that as a nation we can develop. And when money circulates, that is economy. It's not about up something, bottom something. No, no, no. It's about addressing issues of economy across board, not necessarily looking at a particular sector, Honorable Speaker. The cost of living has weighed us down as a country. But I'm glad that my sister, Honorable Wang, and we give this to her, has rejected any proposal to tax food and essential items going forward, so that we can have affordability in terms of these essential commodities. And my sister Wanga, thank you very much. Even as you move to become governor, be coming around to pay us a visit, I will welcome you. In any event, Homa Bay is not too far away from here. The oversight bodies, Honorable Speaker, need to step up their efforts so that we do not see pilferages of public finance that has percolated our systems for way too long, Honorable Speaker. 1.9 billion shillings is owed by IBC to lawyers and non-legal suppliers. Honorable Speaker, we really need, with a tooth comb, a serious audit. How would lawyers be paid 1.9 billion shillings? Over which cases? So these are things that we must fully address as a country so that we do not lose money so indiscriminately, Honorable Speaker. The CDF has already been explained. and we cannot emphasize on this, Honorable Speaker.
Order, member. Order, Honorable Member for Nyan.
Will I get my 1 minute back?
Order.
All right.
That we shall discuss later. Let's hear what is out of order, Honorable.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I didn't wish to interrupt Honorable Jared. Mr. Speaker, I'm just concerned. Actually, I didn't notice that my system was dead. So I'm actually on queue, and perhaps I've been pushed way back. So if you can consider that.
No, Honorable Millie Odhiambo.
Those are the effects of digitization.
No, Honorable Millie Odhiambo, you are using a shortcut to catch my eye.
No, I'm not, Chair. I'm not using a shortcut, actually. My system went dead. It's Honorable Esther Passaris who has just notified me. So if there's a person using a shortcut, it's Esther Passaris. So I think, Chair, you must also take into account.
Had you registered interest to speak?
Yes,
Okay,
and it went
up.
dead.
Well,
Then now I've just put it again. It means I've gone right to the bottom.
I have taken judicial notice. You have been seated there for quite some time.
Yes.
So
thank you, Chair.
Do not worry. Honorable Member for Nyando, please, you have 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. Honorable Speaker, the judiciary has been allocated 18 billion shillings. At a time when we are going to have a myriad of election petitions pending before courts, various courts, right from the Magistrates Court all the way to the Apex Court, the Supreme Court, how I wish that we would allocate them better monies going forward. And again, even before doing this, let us carry out an introspection of the amount of money they have in terms of pending bills to various suppliers, Honorable Speaker. So on this, I support the Budget Committee. I support my brother, Honorable Kanini Kega, for such a splendid job. God bless. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Wangwe? Oh, you had spoken on this? Oh, but then you also, okay, you want to speak in the next, but I can tell from here you are top here. Let's have Honorable CNN, Honorable Nguna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to thank the Budget Committee for coming with this budget under very difficult circumstances we are facing as a country and as a whole global challenges, Mr. Speaker, we are coming here with. Mr. Speaker, we are experiencing the effect of Russia-Ukraine conflict and many other myriad challenges the world is facing at the moment. So, Mr. Speaker, these issues have created what we call universal problems in our country. And in terms of inflation, I know we are in very difficult times, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, from the onset, there are policies which actually have been set aside in terms of these budget issues. Number one, the debt limit we set as a country, the 9 trillion budget, or rather the debt limit should be adhered if at all we are going to have the issues of debt solved. Mr. Speaker, I note also the issues of pending bills. If you look at our country, majority of our other intergovernmental agencies have not been paid, and many of the contractors are still suffering. And we have seen even in our counties, majority of the contractors have not been paid. Mr. Speaker, we cannot drive this economy on upward trajectory if at all we are not taking the interest of our suppliers, Mr. Speaker. I would like to request the next president and the next CS Treasury to look at this issue of pending bills very critically and also very seriously and urgently, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, priorities should be given on ongoing projects, stored projects like the major roads we are building for this country. In my constituency, Mwingi West, where there is a project which was started by the president, Kabati, Bodoni, Migwani Road project has stalled, and we need to divert our attention to this project so that we can complete what Jubilee started, the Jubilee government started. Mr. Speaker, I raise this concern because I know the new government will come up with new projects without really looking into the issues of stalling and ongoing projects. Mr. Speaker, let me point out I'm disappointed when it comes to State Department for Social Protection and Senior Citizens. There has been a lot of calls, and many members of the Parliament have focused their questions on senior citizens protection. Majority of our people have reached the 70 years, the age limit. You are supposed to gain access to these funds, but majority of our people are still not accessing this fund. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm calling upon in our new supplementary actually to look at this State Department so that we can keep on taking care of our citizens. Mr. Speaker, the country is experiencing serious weather and adverse weather conditions, and drought mitigation measures are needed if at all we are going to cushion our people who are experiencing drought, especially in eastern, northern, some parts of the Rift Valley and northern part of Kenya. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to see increment of allocation in this Department for Protection. Mr. Speaker, we have always done with the issues of CDF. CDF accounting to 2.5% of the budget, and this is actually the fund which has worked across our country. All the constituencies you traverse, you will see the CDF projects. They are more than actually the county government projects. Mr. Speaker, the next budget should actually look at it to this issue. We proposed of raising 2.5% to 5% to CDF so that we can take care of our education and security sector. And most of the things we have discussed, Mr. Speaker, 5 minutes is too little to talk. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support the budget. Thank you.
Honorable Koi Waruke.
Yeah?
There you go.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me a chance also to contribute on this. First, I want to thank the committee for the tireless work that they have worked on this budget, Mr. Speaker. And I also want to thank the Finance Committee, whom I've heard over the radio and TV, trying to protect the Kenyan people on inflation, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the economy of this country, I believe, Kenya has a very strong economy, Mr. Speaker, and it is just maybe us mismanaging and also corruption, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what the country need to do is to support the farmers of this country, Mr. Speaker, especially coffee farmers, tea and flowers, Mr. Speaker, and other farming sector, Mr. Speaker, because they are the ones who have kept this country to continue even improving the economy. Otherwise, we could be in a bigger problem than now, Mr. Speaker. So the country is starving, but as leaders of this country, Mr. Speaker, when we come to discuss on issues like this budget making a contribution, Mr. Speaker, we need to be sober as members of the House. So instead